I'm Paul McCracken. I'm the head of school and CEO at Strong Rock. This is our 12th State of the School address, and we're going to do it a little differently tonight. We're definitely going to be conscious of your time because I know many of you came from the sports meeting, and this is your second hour here tonight. So instead of me speaking for an hour, we're going to introduce you to some of our department heads, and they're going to tell about each one of their individual pillars. So I think that'll add some interest, and they're all very passionate about the parts that they share. So let's get started. For many of you that do not know, we actually are a two-campus school. This is the Big Rock, as we call it, the main campus, with 828 students. And about 5 miles from here in Locust Grove, just off Tanger Boulevard, we have a preschool with 158 kids. You guys, I'm sure, all know our mission statement. Your kids definitely know our mission statement. But this is why we do what we do. And it's to partner with you guys to glorify God in educating and inspiring your children to impact the world for Jesus Christ, the Strong Rock, and hence Strong Rock Christian School. Our vision statement is inspiring the next generation for Christ, and our motto is blessed to be a blessing. And that's you'll see that on all of our teachers' name tags, and that is what they attempt to be on a daily basis in everything that they do. I talked about this a little, and we will expand upon this, but we are 4 pillars here: academics, athletics, fine arts, and missions. And you're going to hear from each one of those department heads tonight. And as you can see, the most important part of that structure right there is the cornerstone or the foundation, which is Jesus Christ. A little bit about our student body. We are split almost 50-50, male-female, 51-49. So we have a good split with respect to gender. With respect to ethnicity, we are growing more diverse. We have 77% Caucasian, and then 23% of other nationalities, with African American being 10%, followed by Asian and Hispanic, and then some biracial folks as well. So each year, as we bring in new students, that diversity percentage seems to go up a little higher and higher. And I think just with the demographics of the community around us, I think we'll see that continue. This is a slide that excites me. This is the counties from which we draw students. I think the most exciting part is that we actually draw students from 14 different counties. Now, obviously, it's heavy loaded for Henry County, and also Bibb or Butts County and Spalding produce quite a bit as well. But then we've got a host of other counties that are also bringing students to us, and there's some. I know you guys are all committed and making sacrifices, but some families are making a lot of sacrifices. They drive their kids here from counties that are not nearby, or at least 2 counties away. Little picture of our revenue. We are just over $11 million business here. Most of that comes from tuition, as you can imagine, just over $9 million. But the rest of our budget is filled up with other revenue, which is things like ticket sales, concessions. We do some facility rentals, different sales, school store sales, things like that go into that other revenue. Many of those have offsetting expenses where we'll collect money for a field trip and pay it out, but that's all included in that other revenue. And then you can see donations are still a big part of what makes our budget work. And we need that. We'll talk about the annual fund a little bit later, but the annual fund is essentially the big part of that donations piece. Where do we spend our money? Well, about 60% of that money is spent on our staff. And obviously our staff is our most important and our best asset. You guys know our teachers. We try to bring the best staff to light here, both in teaching, teaching, our coaches, our administration staff. We really try to provide the very best, and that comes with a price. So 60% of our money is going there. Operations takes about 15% of that. After personnel cost, our next highest cost is food service. I don't want to make this claim because I haven't checked it out, but I think we might be the largest restaurant in Locust Grove proper. We serve about 950 people in 2.5 hours every day right here in the cafeteria, and our food service staff does an incredible job. You can see we also, debt service takes up about 8%, capital expenditures about 4%, and a number of other things. But that's how the money is spent every year. I sent out an email a couple weeks ago to explain that we were changing our fee structure a little bit because I didn't want there to be any confusion. So ever since we started the school, we've had a $750 annual fee. Sometimes you may have heard it called a matriculation fee or an annual fee. It was treated exactly the same as your tuition. It was split into your tuition plan and paid just like your tuition. We wanted to simplify things, and so all we did was we removed that fee and we added the amount into the tuition amount. So now if you look at the tuition, it looks higher, but you don't have to pay that annual fee amount. So we're hoping that that is more simple, especially for the new people coming in. It looks like we have less fees and everything is simple. So we have enrollment fee and we have the tuition. All right, over the summer and the past year, we made a number of capital improvements, some of which you guys have probably noticed, but some of which are more subtle that you didn't. So we wanted to share a couple of those with you. We did expand the elementary playground that sits right in front of the gym. The fence used to go right around there, and the teacher said, we want some open space so that the kids can run and play but still be protected and safe. So we tore that down. We put some barriers around the mulch, and then we fenced in the whole area and did that whole yard there so that they have more room to play. We added a second piano lab. It sits in the academy side in the hallway there. And this is actually our second piano lab. We had a donation that allowed us to do this. And what it also allowed us to do was to offer piano to more students. And I'll let Judy talk about that more in later on tonight in the speech. Safety is always a concern for us, and we're always trying to make improvements. So at the beginning of this year, we actually added a new check-in system. If those of you who frequent the school often know that now you're getting a badge with your name on it, and it's much more noticeable than the tags that we used to have. And this system has a lot of room to expand along the years and create some additional features. But we also have been replacing our cameras. We have over 100 cameras, security cameras around the campus, and we're transferring them from analog cameras to digital cameras. They give us a better field of view and much more detail, the ability to zoom in and take better pictures. So it's just better safety, tracking what goes on at our campus on a day-to-day basis, and even at night for us for security reasons. This is stuff that you really don't see, and you probably have to be a technical geek to enjoy it, but we upgraded our building automation and also updated our access control. Building automation is what runs all of our HVAC units. So you can imagine how many classrooms and how many different units we have. Tommy, how many HVAC units do we have? We have 145 HVAC units, and so it helps if we can look at all those on one computer screen and know when one's offline, when one's gone crazy, or one has an issue. And that's one of the things Tommy's doing, is monitoring temperatures and thermostats in all of those units. So that helped him immensely. Access control is what allows our doors to lock and unlock automatically. Also, the badges for employees work, and each family code that you have is working through that. So both those systems were in need of upgrade, and we replaced them this summer. All of our hallways were painted. They were, after 12 years, they were looking a little rough. They all got a fresh coat of paint, and we had the entire building power washed, which to those of us who pass by it daily, it made a big difference. It looks a lot better now. Yeah, this mess is switches and a phone system. These are truly not exciting, but unfortunately, from electronic and a data and an IT world, you can't live without them. And ours was, again, 12 years old, so we needed to switch from an analog to a digital world, and also to increase the capacity of our computers and our pipe and our internet. We made that change. Very behind the scenes, but with a price tag of $240,000. So it was our largest expense over the summer. But again, it was necessary to keep state of the art and allowing us to maximize our IT infrastructure. All right, at this time, I am going to invite our academic dean, Judy Johnson, to the stage, and she's going to tell us about all the exciting things that are happening in the academic pillar.
Thank you. It is an exciting time to be a part of Academics at Strong Rock. This year we had some new course offerings. If you're an elementary person, we added piano back. We had it the first year, and then space and a lot of other things, we had to take it away. We brought it back this year for 1st through 4th grades, and it is exciting. We added 5th through 6th grade theater. We also, this year, were invited by NASA to participate in their Student Astronaut Challenge. And so we did two things. In the academy, we added that into the academy as part of our PACE class for coordinate algebra, and we added it as a club at the high school level. They're going to competition, I think, in 2 weeks. So we're very, very excited about the potential for what God's going to do with that program for our students. Advanced course offerings, we have 13 AP courses. We have 23 honors courses, 17 academic, and 6 performing arts. Dual enrollment, we've increased this year. We have 5 traditional and 5 online. And we're continuing to look all the time at what we can do to expand our course offerings. This is a real important slide. I know the numbers are hard to see, but I want to tell you just basically looking at the 2018 scores for the SAT and ACT and looking at our students right now. Now, we don't have this year's score for Georgia or the nation yet, but I'll tell you that our class right now on the SAT is running about 88 points higher right now. And so it's amazing what is happening here. If you look at the ACT in every single area, we're about 2 points higher than the nation in Georgia on the ACT right now with this graduating class. So we're excited about what God is going to do academically here. One of the things that I want you to know, how many of you have an AP student taking an AP class? 5 years ago, we were at the bottom. We were scoring 48 1/10 of our students were scoring 3 or better. And the national average was 61 3/10%. And so we were way below where we needed to be. So we made some changes. We changed the paying for that. Students and families began to take the cost of taking the test, and we shifted that money towards training our teachers. And we require them now to take training at least every other year for AP. And what we've seen is now, this year, we were at the 63 3/10%. We jumped way above the national average now. The national average didn't jump at all. It's still the same. That's still 61 3/10% of the nation are scoring 3 or better, and we're ahead of that now. So we're excited about what's happening, and that's also, you know, if we were keeping the same kids all the time, not growing a lot, you would think you could increase. We doubled in the number of children taking AP courses, and we almost triple the number of AP tests. And so great things. So if your child's in an AP class, tell their teacher how much you appreciate what they're doing, because that's awesome. To give you an idea about what's happening, last year we had 55 seniors. At the end of the year, there were 143 acceptances for colleges and about $2.4 million in scholarships total. Now, this year's class is bigger. We've got 70 students or 69 students in our graduating class for this year. Right now, today, they have 144 acceptances, and they're already at $2.2 million in scholarships. And today, we think 85 5/10% are projected to be Hope eligible. So it's huge for our students as they move up. Resources are important to us. Training is important to us. And so last year, if you have an academy student, we added the IXL program. We've expanded that. We're continuing to do things for our students in technology. We sent all of our academy and high school teachers to the Creation Museum, and we sent every math teacher in the building to the state math conference this year because we want them to have the best training they can have. And again, we've strengthened those AP courses with the additional training requirements that we're doing. We've got new initiatives. One thing we've done this year is we've got a partnership with Impact 360, which is part of the Chick-fil-A Corporation, to write and pilot a Bible course for 9th grade. So we're very excited about what's happening there. We implemented the Advanced Ed Elliott observation. It's an electronic observation. It helps our teachers compare themselves with other people around the nation and the world to see how we're doing in our teaching. And it's awesome to see our teachers do great. We've expanded how we use data. Used to, we could do basic things with our data and tell how they scored on every test. Now we can tell teachers to dream about data. We can look at data and compare what are our current student body doing compared to this new students that are coming in. So we can do all kinds of things with data now. We've expanded our learning lab this year. We added a reading specialist, so we're able to meet the needs of 34 more students right now. And plans for the future, next year you're going to see Calculus BC added as an AP course. We're going to expand our partnership with Impact 360, and we're going to work on a 10th grade class for Bible. We're going to continue. One of the things that's always been important to us here is having certified, very qualified teachers. Well, we're really focusing on Bible now. We've got great academic teachers. We want to focus on Bible. And so you'll see that we're being very intentional about who we hire to teach your children Bible. One of the things we're expanding also is Turn It In. Turn It In is a course that helps students not get into the habit of plagiarism. And sometimes they don't really intend to plagiarize, but they don't know how to write. And so we decided it's not enough to have it at the high school. If we're training students to write, we want to start younger. So we're moving it down so that we can train them so they don't develop bad habits as they learn to write and do research. So we're expanding that. Next year, you'll hear us begin talking about a work-based learning program for our high school. And we had a meeting today just about that, to open up opportunities for our students as they think about graduation and beyond. And we're expanding. Next year, when you hear about the Denim and Diamonds auction, what we're spending that money on, we're going to focus on for elementary, adding more iPads. For 5th and 6th grade, Chromebooks, and for high school, 7th through 12th grade, laptops. And so we're really beginning to focus more and more on using the technology in a great way in our classes. We did our accreditation this year, and I know many of you were a part of that in different ways, and so we're very grateful. One of the things that we are very proud of, there's an average score, and they give it to you for the past 5 years. The average score was between 278 and 283. For everyone who goes through accreditation. The process is tougher this year. That score's going to drop. But our score was 36 points higher than that highest number in the average. And so there's so many great things going on here. You're a part of that. We thank you because we couldn't do it without your partnership. So thank you for all you do for us. We're excited about what God is going to continue to do in the future here.
This time, Tommy Webb, our athletic director, is going to tell us about all the exciting things going on in the athletic department. Tommy?
Well, I'm excited to talk about athletics. I do believe that athletics is an extension of the school day. It's an important part of what we do, and our kids can learn, they can grow by being a part of a team, being a part of a competition. So it's important that we understand that we have a mission here. Our mission is to partner with you, to glorify God, and to allow our kids to have the opportunity to make a difference and be on mission for Jesus Christ. And we can do that athletically. There's a small statement here of there's so many things that go into our athletic department. All of us, our staff, our coaches, our parents, our players, the volunteers, the academics, all of this in conjunction allows us to have a successful program. Working together, everybody on that same page allows our program, and we do have a successful athletic program to have success. It is more than trophies. It is more than wins. It's an opportunity for our young people to learn, to grow, to develop life skills when they work with a team and when they have the opportunity to compete. There's so much that can be learned from that opportunity. And we have a great program here, and we want to share it. We want to make sure that others know it as well. Our mission, make sure that we understand it, is to complement and advance the mission of our school. That's our sole purpose. That's what we stress. I stress it to every coach, to our parents. I'm always constantly dealing with the culture of our school and making sure that when everything is said and done, that it comes back to our mission statement. Our purpose, I found this with Dabo Swinney, who just won the national championship for Clemson. He's a man of God, and he has no problem stating his faith. He says, I will be accountable to God for this. What did I do with all those kids he gave me? What did I do to build his kingdom? It goes back to our purpose. It goes back to our mission of who we are and what we're about here at Strong Rock. And our culture is this. This is what I stress each and every day, is we want to present that mission. We want to promote that mission. We want to practice that mission, and then we want to preserve that mission. So after we're all gone from here, it's still going on. The athletic program, as we see it, understands what its role is in the school and the community, and this is what we're trying to do within our culture. A couple of things I found, it was really neat that I actually watched World Cup soccer this past time. I don't do it very often, but that's really good. And one particular game that stood out to me is when Japan was playing. I'm not real sure who they were playing, but it became a very big game. It went into extra time. It went into the second period of extra time. It went down to the last 20 seconds of the second period, and the other team beat Japan. And so there's a lot of things that could happen with that team after they lose such a game tragically like they did. This is right here a picture of the Japanese spectators in Russia after that game. They understood how bad it was for them to lose that game, how difficult it was, but ingrained in their culture is that we're still going to treat the game for what it's worth. After the game, they were cleaning the stands before that game. I thought that was pretty interesting. This is the locker room of the Japan team after their loss. I know I've been to sites, I've heard of different things where after a game, a crucial game that you lost, the team will go in there, bang a locker, they'll bend a locker, they'll be fussing, they'll leave the place a mess. Well, this is Japan's team. They left a note on that table there in Russian thanking them for the opportunity to play in the World Cup and the hospitality that they gave. That's what I'm trying to stress to all of us, to our coaches, to our parents, to our players, and that is a right way to do things, and that's what we're going to try and do here. So in everything that we do, we're going to go back to our mission statement, our culture of who we are, how we coach, how we compete, and how we cheer. We make a difference when we go off to a site. We make a difference to those that come on our facility each and every time we have a game. And it's important that we recognize that and we understand that as who we are and what we're trying to do. What is really cool, we're not a really big school. We have about 280-something in our high school and a little bit more in our middle school, but we still offer 15 varsity sports and 15 academy sports for all of our kids. What that tells me is there's a lot of our students involved in athletics. That to me is really big. And we are doing our very best to continue that, but we want to make sure that the ones that we have are excelling, that we're giving them the best opportunity for them to have success. And there's an idea that basically the same thing for varsity is for our academy teams. And we're now branching it down to 5th and 6th. We're working on branching it down even to 3rd and 4th so we can try and get as many students involved in athletics as can, because we believe it's an extension of the school day and it can add value to what they're doing. We are members of 2 associations, basically. At the high school level, we're involved with Georgia High School. We also play a little bit within the GISA, which is an independent school association. Our middle schools will play on both levels as well. So we have 2 different areas that we compete in, and we do a good job of both of them, and both of them are very competitive, but it allows our middle school at the GISA level to play a lot of schools in our community that are close by, that are Christian schools or private schools. Now what I'd like to do is share briefly some of our highlights, and these highlights are team-related and individual-related. We have a lot of neat things going on in our athletic program. In the fall, this past year, with Heather Miller's team of having only 10 players, made it through the year and made it to the 2nd round of state. Went down to Savannah and won and came back and lost a tough one at Mount DeSales. But they've done a great job. We had some girls on that team make all region. Our volleyball, again, qualified for state. They came in 3rd in the area and went on to state. Our cross-country team, the boys, and they work really hard like all of our teams do, and they worked real hard to get to state. The year before, they just missed. This year, they were able to qualify for state, and one of our own, Justin George, finished 3rd in the region and 8th in the state. They've done a great job with that. Also, some of our fall sports, our shooting team, which is really growing each and every year. came in fourth again. This is probably the third straight year they come in fourth. But during the regular season, they're very successful and they have a great job. They do a great job under Jimmy Higginbotham. We started a third and fourth grade team this year. And we restarted the fifth and sixth grade team, knowing that we've got to do that to develop and build a program if we want to continue to be successful in football. We had our first D1 football signee, Demetrius Knight, signed with Georgia Tech. We've had some others throughout the years sign with others, but this is our first ACC athlete to make it. We had some make all region. Trey Donaldson, Nick Hassan, and West Joan made all county. So we've had some success individually, and we've had some success collectively with our fall sports. Moving on to winter, right now our girls are 15-7. They're doing a really good job with Coach McCullers. This past season, Penny NAFTA was all region. Our varsity boys team has struggled at part, but they are making big strides. Coach Jackson has done a great job of instilling discipline and fundamentals. They work really hard and they play really hard, and it's just a matter of time before we start to see them have more success. Our wrestling team throughout the years have had success. This past couple of weeks ago in the area duels, we won it up at Elka. In the 2 of the last 3 years, our wrestling team has won the area. We made it to state each of those years as well. And we continue to have success there. We're getting ready to host area individuals in a couple of weeks. We currently have 2 of our wrestlers, Brandon Shelnett and Trevor Borum, that are ranked 2nd in the state in their weight classification. And both of them were 5th and 6th last year at the state level. What is really neat, we did a survey and said, what do we need to add? And one of the sports that we added was swimming. And it's just growing like leaps and bounds. We got an academy boys and girls, and we have varsity boys and girls. And they've done a really neat job under Amy Craddock and Marcia Sanders and Amy Wagner, a few others that have jumped on board. And our program is really growing, and they're actually having success their first year, which I'm really excited about. We come to spring. This past year in the spring, our varsity baseball team came in 3rd in the region and made it to a 2nd round of state. We had 5 of our players make first team all region. We currently just have 3 signed D1 baseball signees, Braden Edson, Nick Hassan, and Kenny Mills also signed with Covenant as well. Our boys and girls soccer team have qualified for state 2 of the last 3 years. And we've had Nathan Sheets and Chandler Cagle also make all area in those regards. So we've had success in the spring. Our varsity girls each year is qualified for state. Our varsity girls golf team last year was runner-up in our region and went to state as well. And our varsity boys team has made it and qualified for state in the last 3 years. And this year we had 3 individuals make it to state at the track level, Justin George, David Green, and Tamla. And so individually and collectively as teams, we're having success with our sports teams. One of the reasons why we have success is this right here. Toby Jacoby runs our strength and conditioning program. He's second to none. We're thankful to have him. He's been with us 5 years. He's developed that program. He's grown that program. We have 2 state-of-the-art weight rooms that we use throughout the day. We have 6 classes throughout the day. He works them before school. He works them after school. He's scientific. He has a plan in place for each of our sports and our individuals to grow and develop. For us to have success at the athletic level, we must have a great strength and conditioning program. I believe we do. This past year, Trey Donaldson and Danielle Goodine were named NSCA Strength and Conditioning All-Americans, which is a big deal. We also have an athletic trainer on site. We work in conjunction with CHOA, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. John Stavronakis is our trainer. He's basically here at 1 o'clock on, and he's at all our home events. And it's vital that we have one on place, and he's a good one. Like I said earlier on, we've added programs in football and in swimming. We're considering later on to possibly look at lacrosse. There's a lot of interest there. And I was joking with Gary, and there's something called, I don't know if I want to say it, but it's called esports. Okay? And it basically, whether or not you use your thumbs and you compete against other schools and you're gaming. And it's big in Georgia high school. And it's something we'll actually look at. We're doing the research right now to see if that's a viable option here. I'm a little concerned, but it actually is a growing sport in our state. I guess you call it a sport. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Another big thing is our Patriot Athletic Club. It's important that y'all get involved and you support what we're trying to do. You'll notice outside on the south entrance that we've got a sponsor board, brick walls coming up. It took us a while to get it going, and we've got it going. So we have 23 signs that will come off the stadium and go on that. And we're also going to add that second one, so we're going to be pushing to get those 24 signs as well. Just like Paula said earlier on, it's vital that not only do we do things normally, but we have to get donations in to see our programs really grow and develop. We have unbelievable facilities, and we need to keep them that way. Outside facilities here at Strong Rock are second to none in the state. We have schools all over coming up and either practice here or play here, and they're all amazed from the 7A all the way down through. So we're blessed to have unbelievable facilities. Our plans for the future are to continue to do that. We're looking, hopefully one day soon, to have a gym in place so we can add locker rooms, have more teaching space, more gym space. That will also add a place for wrestling to actually be able to practice right now. And so even though they have success, they still struggle in that space. So we're trying to expand those indoor areas. And we need for y'all to support that and be a part of that going forward.
Before Stephen comes, I just want to say a little bit about this one. You know, Stephen came to us 9 years ago as the assistant high school principal and the fine arts director. We were a lot smaller back then. And over those 9 years, both programs have grown. Under Stephen's leadership, the fine arts program has developed into what it is today. I don't know if you guys were at the Christmas candlelight concert at Glen Haven, but I like to compare it to a made-for-TV Christmas special. It was just fantastic, and a lot of what we do is excellent, and that takes a lot of time. And Stephen accepted the job as high school principal a few years before that, and he was trying to balance both. We knew at one point we were going to have to separate that. So at the end of last year, we approached Stephen and asked him if he would section off one of those and concentrate full-time on fine arts so that he could take the program to the next level and continue to develop it and give his creative mind the time it needed to expand things and improve things. And I think you're going to hear in what he has to say that he has hit the ground running and things have improved in the last 5 months. I know I've seen it. I think you guys have seen it, and you're about to see it even more. But there's a second dynamic to that because it's the fine arts director and worship arts. Stephen's other passion, many of you may not know that he's also an ordained minister, but he has a passion for the students. And he is a good sounding board for them. They seek him out. He has good relations with them. And there's a pastor side of that. So that's a real passion to him. This gives him a little more opportunity to deal with that. And he's developed a worship arts class that is actually planning, programming, and running most of our chapels now, along with Stephen, and it has been phenomenal. Stop by some Tuesday morning at 8:45, and you'll be in for a treat. We're working on getting those streamed on the website so that you guys can see those on a week-to-week basis. But that's what we asked Stephen to do. He's been doing a great job. So, Stephen, come tell us everything that you've been busy working on in fine arts this year.
It has been an exciting year. We have expanded the group under some great leadership that's already been part of the fine arts department. The part of it, I have to say first, it has been an honor to be an administrator at Strong Rock. Now it's a different kind of administrative role, but honestly, I didn't get a chance to tell the parents for the Academy High School. It was an honor to be the administrator of the school. This time now and this season that we're moving into with the fine arts, I can't tell you enough. There are not enough schools in the United States that put any kind of investment in the fine arts, and it is very, very important. I always remind people: could you imagine going to a wedding and there's no music, or can you imagine to go to any festival or concert or something that students and people don't know how to play music? And so it is a very big part of our life around everywhere we go as far as our culture. And so the fact that Strong Rock said, "Hey, we want to put an investment in this," is pretty amazing. So I'm blessed to have a team that's willing to do that, and a school that says, "Hey, let's hit the ground running." So I want to tell you a little bit about it. He already mentioned kind of what the role is. I want to tell you some new personnel. So what you're going to see is a lot of new things. That's ultimately what the theme of what I'm going to talk about today are new people. So we have a new art instructor. Art expanded so much. Margaret Livingston, our current art instructor, was currently teaching 7 classes in 6 periods. So she was doing that through AP Art because students were excited about doing it. We did not want to keep students from being able to take AP Art, so we had to get her some help. At that point in time, she actually had her husband's business grew, and she wanted to go part-time, and so we were able to hire a second art teacher that went full-time, and that was Abby Clevenger, who also came on and coached volleyball as well and did an outstanding job. Roy Denton is our new director of bands. He is our lead director, and he has done an outstanding job, and I'm going to tell you a little bit some of the things he's added to our band program as well. Kim Massengale is our elementary piano instructor, and guys, I just want to tell you, it is so exciting. the criticism I got at the very beginning said, hey, when are we going to have piano back for all grades? That was the big thing that I heard from the beginning. And they said that when the school started, this was it. And so it was a common goal. So whenever I had my yearly board meeting where I met with the board, they said, what do you need, Stephen? I said, we got to do this. We got to get it back. And through a patron, we were able to do that, and Kim Massengill has done an awesome job. I've heard stories about some of your students that said, hey, we had to buy a piano at Christmas. Anybody have to buy a piano for Christmas? Yep, there we go. We got one. Sorry about that. So anyway, I hope it doesn't become a clothing rack. But anyway, we are very excited that students are getting very excited about the program, beginning at first grade all the way through 12th grade. Now we have students learning music. And I'll tell you, that was a dream of the people that started the school. They were all musicians, and they wanted to see this come to life. Vicki Smith keeps me organized. I share her with the Learning Lab, and she is an amazing lady and has helped our whole program stay on top of things. This is the rest of the staff. I'm not going to spend too much time. Aaron Minahan's picture looks far better than any of ours. That's what you get when your husband is a professional photographer. So it was very hard putting it up here against our high school yearbook pictures, but I did. So there you go. Outstanding group. And I just want to talk briefly about this group for a second. They are amazing. Where many fine arts schools have one teacher for one school, we have 3 schools present here from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Through those 3 schools, you have directors that take our students on different programs on weekends after weekend after weekend because they're doing multiple schools to be able to accomplish and let your students have those opportunities. So they sacrifice a lot of time outside of the normal school day to make sure that students get every opportunity that county school students do and more. So I'm proud of this staff and what they do and just their commitment to our program. I talked about the Piano Lab, $35,000 patron donation. We're taking more of those, so if you know anybody that has any, we are definitely in need of that. So the additional allows our, we already said, class piano for 1st through 12th, but we have a new recording studio. The first song that was recorded was Mary Did You Know for the Christmas concert. And a lighting studio, as well as ProPresenter and video studio. I didn't put video up there as well. So we're adding all of these new components when our students are using this, not me. The students are having the opportunity. Right now, Will Miller is running a camera. Actually, this is the first time Will Miller's ever run a camera, but he is in our worship arts group. He runs actually our lighting for our worship arts program. Every chapel, he designs the lights, puts the features around the music, and he designs that with the backgrounds of ProPresenter. And so I'm very proud of what our students are doing and how they are learning more tech as well. I will tell you, the students on Tuesday can run a church now on Sunday. It's a pretty amazing thing, a goal of what they can accomplish. And some of them have taken their skills and are leading at their churches every Sunday, which is kind of what our goal was to do. New technology, new speakers in the gym. I've prayed for those, and through it, again, another patron donation, we were able to put speakers in the front and the end zones of the basketball courts. If you're sitting on the red bleachers, you can now hear, which is fantastic. And now if you're sitting in the blue seats, there's 3 speakers facing you right there as well, so it's right in your face. 10 in-ear monitoring systems. Each student that plays an instrument or is singing now has in-ear monitors, so they can actually hear themselves, and the quality of sound has gotten better. We talked about a music library system. We had no place to store all this stuff, so it was literally going underneath the stage in Miranda's classroom. And so we now have a music library system that's pretty elaborate. It's like one of the ones that doctors use and they pull out for files, and it allows us to store our music for future concerts. New pianos, 18 in all, and we're repairing the old ones that we've had for 10 years that need that service. And then as well as new lab conferencing system and new MacBooks for presentations. Fine Arts New Achievements, All-State, we are in the most competitive district in the state of Georgia. We compete with Clayton, Fayette, Butts County, Spalding, and I'm missing one, Henry. And in these counties, we also have 2 magnet schools that are in that district that are totally focused on fine arts. So the fact that we have students that compete at that level and are able to achieve is pretty fantastic. We just got word Marianne Poston is our all-state chorus representative for the school. Very hard to make all-state. First round, she knocked out her sight reading with a perfect score. They had to find something. They told the judges that they had to find something to grade her poorly on. She did such an outstanding job. She was also selected at Spivey Honor Chorus to be a soloist. So among 300 school students in this program at Spivey Hall, when we sent students there, they asked her to sing the solo for the group. So very proud of our students and what they're doing. I'm going to talk about a few more accomplishments because we had a few more, and I want to recognize some students. I won't spend too much time on this, but One Act competition this year. It's the third year at One Act. We took a show called Women in War, and we have an all-star cast that was selected there out of all the schools that were present. The 3 students for all-star were Reese Howell, Madison Smith, Susie Smith. Best supporting actor was Harrison Gerard. And then marching and concert band, we took students to district honor band. It's another thing that's very hard to get into. And Violet Riggle got first chair, which is in that whole district of school. She was selected for first chair of that band. Wyatt Smith, second chair for percussionist, and Will Miller, fifth chair percussionist. So congratulations. 2018 marching band. Our little tiny marching band that is continuing to grow and has a lot of momentum right now. Very excited about what's going to happen next year. And they've already selected their show, and they're going to announce that at their meeting the 1st of February. They went to 2 invitationals this year and were graded. They received 2 superior ratings and 2 excellent ratings. And then at the Wolverine Classic, we got 6th place overall at the entire contest, going up against some major schools with major bands. But they also received first place in all categories for Class A. So first place for Class A. That's fantastic. We sent students to JanFest this year. If anybody knows what that is, our students got to play festival with 2,000 other students with Georgia, the University of Georgia system. So we had conductors from the University of Georgia working with our kids and developing our students. Piano students last year, they haven't gone to festival yet, but I need to tell you, we had 50 students go to festival. And all 50 students came back with a perfect score of a superior rating, not a perfect score. That is the highest rating you can receive at festival, and all 50 students took 2 pieces, and all 50 students came back with a superior rating. So very excited about what our kids are doing. We have involved ourselves in 6th District Honor Corps, 6th District Honor Band, Spivey Hall, and so our students are accomplishing a lot of great things, and so I'm proud of our directors and how they're spending that extra time developing them in the morning. New programs. Middle school theater troupe is now beginning, so we now have a middle school official club. We had one for high school for the last 3 years, which allowed us to go to ThesCon. Now our middle schoolers will be able to do that beginning next year. JanFest I mentioned already, which is one of the programs Mr. Denton has established for our kids to get an extra support. Six Flags Southern Star Festival. New marching band competitions, first time GMEA Band Festival that we're going to go to. Everybody remember, if anybody was in band, remember the band festival? We're actually going to the first time we're going to the GMEA Band Festival this year. And then Mini-Mester, we're adding a Puerto Rican mission trip, so we're very excited about that. These were our shows, some of the things that we have and some of the things that are still yet to come. And one of the big ones is the collaboration at the end of the year of The Little Mermaid. So that's going to be our character breakfast for the elementary students is May 1st. And then May 2nd through 4th are the academy and high school shows. We hope everybody can come out and see it because it really is a collaboration of every group that we do comes together to be a part of that performance, including art, developing our sets. So I'm going to step aside for a second, and because really I can talk all day long about our kids and their accomplishments, but it really is fun when you're talking about a performing group is to see them in action. I missed one on my paper. Aubrey Wimberly in art. She is still in the running to be into GHP, and so I saw Miss Wimberly here. So we're praying for her as she is continuing to go for art and stage design. So we're excited.
Through you, I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me strength. Nothing is impossible. Through you, blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken.
Finally, our fourth pillar, David Mann, our president, is going to tell us about everything that we're doing in the field of missions. So David, share with us briefly.
Yeah, the missions pillar is really founded because of the Adams family. Doug and Rita Adams, Larry and Norma, and Danny and Lynn have set an example with their families since I've known them. And so that fourth pillar in missions has been a part of their legacy. I was introduced to the Adams mission world with their families with a phone call in 2005, just after Katrina had hit Louisiana and Mississippi and those areas. Danny called and said, we're putting together a team to go and serve some families in the Louisiana, New Orleans area. Would you like to go? And I said, absolutely, I'd love to go. Thinking that we would honestly be passing out waters, passing out food, knocking on doors, and praying with people. And little did I know that what the Adams brothers and their families had done is filled a trailer, a huge trailer, completely packed to the top, and a flatbed trailer completely stacked as high as go with construction equipment. So we showed up, and Danny said, just bring a sleeping bag and a change of clothes, you'll be fine. And so we end up in the Metairie area, just outside a suburb of New Orleans. And we drove down a street. Danny's driving. There's an entourage of automobiles, and I happened to be with Danny, and he's driving down the street, kind of leading the way. And his purpose was for someone to come out from their home or come out from their residence that was very destroyed and say, can we help you? Can I help you? And lo and behold, we're driving down this neighborhood, and a man comes out because he sees these, and he said, can I help you? And Danny said, no, but we can help you. What can we do? And the next thing I knew, there were ladders on the sides of the houses, and what this man needed was a new roof. So they had gotten it. Danny had gone on top, and Doug as well, and Larry as well. They were all kind of dancing on the rooftops of where there were exposed beams and shingles that were gone and roofing paper that was just shredded. And Danny looked down where I was still on the ground and said, David, would you bring that pack of shingles up to the roof? And I said, yes, sir, because that's what you say to Danny Adams. And so I began to pick it up, and I finally got it on my shoulder. 38 minutes later, I got it to the top of the ladder, and Danny realized the error of his ways, and he came down, kind of slid down the ladder, put one pack on his left and one pack on his right shoulder, and then went right back up the ladder, double. And that's what we did for the rest of the day. We actually stayed in the home across the street, which had been abandoned because of flooding. But the home that we were working on knew this family, and so he called and cleared that we could stay in the home. And before we left that home, even though the owners were not there, the interior walls were completely replaced. And so when this homeowner came back, he came back to a restored interior. Still a lot of work to be done. But that was one of many trips. That was how I was introduced to the Adams world of missions and what they do. It is a standard of excellence and a distinction that is really, truly uncommon in how they do what they do. So when the board began to talk about, really in 2006, as we were really laying the foundation for what the pillars would be, the Adams brothers were insistent that missions be, or Christ-like servant leadership, would be a part of the four real pillars of the school. And so this whole component really comes from their world. As you all can see, Kenya, Honduras, Nicaragua, Haiti, and India from years past, last year, all teams going. We've added Puerto Rico and Peru for this year. And even though those are in international mission trips, we also believe that any team that leaves this school is on mission for the Lord. It's on mission for Strong Rock. And so bottom line, Orlando, Washington, D.C., college tours in Boston are all teams that we send to different places. And whether it's an educational tour or whether it's a true mission trip, we just, well, it is a mission trip because we are ambassadors for Jesus Christ, not only for the school. The pictures that you see just represent a few of the trips that we've taken. The top left are some of our ambassadors in Kenya. And they're serving orphans. The AIDS epidemic has really been remarkably bad in the Kenyan area, and they served a school and orphanage. Our kids did. The top right is a group that has gone to Nicaragua, and they served a community called Padre Ramos. You'll hear a little more about that shortly. And it's a fishing village, very small fishing village, and tons, again, orphanages. We're in schools, and those kids just led worship galore throughout. The bottom left was a recent trip to India that we took 13 from Strong Rock, adults and students. And this particular trip is in the far western border in Amritsar, India, very close to Pakistan. The man you see in the middle is a Sikh leader. The Sikhs are a warrior, very, very well, there's a lot of great things that they do as far as people, and the love and compassion that they demonstrate is very interesting, but they are known for their warriors. Now, this man was dressed for a picture. I'm sure he got $1 for it, the gentleman in the middle, and then the ladies that are working just represent our great day of service. And this friend her name is Miss Inez, and Miss Inez lives in Padre Ramos, Nicaragua. It is a small fishing village about 5 hours, 6 hours north of Managua, Nicaragua. And as you're driving north, on the right side of her peninsula is a national estuary of mangroves. On the left is the Pacific Ocean. And she lives kind of way back in the center of this peninsula in an interesting area. But Miss Inez, we've been able to see her for the last several years. And this year, the team was able to deliver the glasses that you see. Now, her old pair of glasses were Coke bottle lenses. You've seen those before, literally all half an inch thick. That's what they replaced. And so when she put them on, it was like light happened. And she could see the details of the world again. So that was an awesome experience for the kids. But then there was some praise and worship. And we were singing with her. Our kids were singing with her. And she was singing and praising. She asked to hold the guitar. And she started strumming the guitar, not knowing a single chord of any kind, and ends up dancing and singing and in Spanish, praising the Lord in really a cool way. So an amazing experience, because she's 90 years old. And she lives alone. Her husband has recently died. But there was another thing that Strong Rock was able to do for Miss Inez, and that was, through contributions here at our school, give her a brand new home. And this home was to her specifications, to her designs. The thatch roof, we were able to take care of all the needs, interior and exterior, of Miss Inez's new home, and it was a palace for her. Now, what you can see, if you look carefully to the far right of the screen, you can see what her original home, this is how we found her. She was in that. The walls were gone because of the tropical storms, and so the kids got to be a part of seeing Miss Inez in her new home. And that experience, you know, you go to be a blessing, but you always come away blessed on the mission field. Great day of service for us are local missions, because we recognize that while we're called, the Great Commission calls us, but it just says to go. And that's in our backyard. That's in our front door. And so you'll see Conyers, Locust Grove, Griffin, Riverdale, Griffin, The Rock, Georgia, Roberta, and Stockbridge. These were all touches of our great day of service. And then we send teams to Student Leadership University. That's a 101 in Orlando, a 201 in Washington, D.C., a 301 in Europe, and a 401 is a Mediterranean cruise that ends up in Israel. And each and every one of those are ambassador trips on leadership. And then we have every week SLI, which is Student Leadership Institute, which we have high school students that choose to invest in their own personal leadership. And then we have our National Spanish Honor Society, which is our missions organization as far as a club goes. For the past 2 years, they've done a Christmas mission where there's free trade items. And these free trade items have come from Central American men and women who have created these items, and the profits go back to these families. And so this year, we were able to partner with an organization and send $2,500 because of Strong Rock's 4-week effort in providing bracelets and trinkets and Christmas gifts, and you all stepped up, and that went directly to families in these amazing countries. So with missions being such a unique pillar in the four of Strong Rock, the reason I believe it to be unique is because each of the other three are incorporated in missions. In the academic world, those teachers understand the importance of Christ-like servant leadership. In athletics and the arts and the fine arts, it's exactly the same way. Every one of those pillars are engaged and involved with missions. And when we say impacting the world for Jesus Christ, the Strong Rock, it truly is local, and it truly is worlds away in every situation and circumstance. So I'm very proud of the kids. I'm very proud of a Strong Rock, and I'm most especially proud of a CEO and a head of school that gets it, that understands and believes it. He doesn't just get it, he lives it. Being a pastor's son, it's been a very unique dynamic. We've watched him for many years as CFO, and to watch his office be a ministry for the first time in Strong Rock's history was outrageous. And to know that when you're dealing with children and you're dealing with finances at the same time, in the same office, and he turns that into ministry, God has blessed Strong Rock with an amazing leader in Paul McCracken. And we could not be in a better place. And you hear all of these evidences of God's blessing on this place. And I will tell you, without that kind of leadership, that doesn't happen. God's favor is abundant here. And so I just want to put a great plug and a great thanks to him because of the leadership for all of what we're doing here at the school. So thank you very much. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, David. You guys already know this, but Strong Rock is a great place, and we are recognized on niche.com, which evaluates schools across the nation, as one of the best in the state with an A rating. But we're not satisfied with that. We want to get it to an A+, so we're going to keep working toward that. Our annual fund, we talked a little bit about how much donations play into our annual budget. You can see we've actually been funded $338,000. We have pledges for another $19,000, but we still have $42,000 to hit our goal for the year. So if you have not donated to the annual fund yet, we would be happy to receive your donation in any amount. We also like the participation piece of that too. If you don't like giving to a big fund, but want to drill down to something that's more specific to you, we actually have a wish list put together, and I know you can't read this, but on the way out there will be papers on the table, and David will follow this up with an email. But this list is some things that we need. Some are replacement things, some are new things, like the new technology that Judy talked about that we want to put in the hands of the students. So if one of these items excites you, or you have the ability to gift one of these items directly, just see David or I, send us an email, or give us a call. We'd be happy to accept those. Georgia Goal. Thank you to everybody who participated. I'm not going to go into the details of this, but you people who contributed to that, we raised over $277,000 through the Georgia Goal program that we will give out as financial aid to needy families who need a little help in getting to Strong Rock. We don't give out full scholarships. We help bridge the gap between what a family can afford and what tuition is. Another way you can support us is through the Denim and Diamond auction coming up the second Friday in March. We are taking registrations now. You can buy a table, you can buy an individual seat. If you're a business and want to donate an item for us to sell, that would be great too. So look forward to that. You can find information about that on the website. It's time to enroll. We opened up re-enrollment a couple weeks ago. We're already starting to plan for next year, and it helps us plan better if we know how many students we're going to have. So we're assuming you're all coming back, but if you'll go ahead and re-enroll for us, that would be a big help. I know we have at least 2 classes that if everybody rolls over to the next grade are already at capacity. So make sure that you get in there, because we will give you first chance at those spots next year. Finally, we have 4 core values that we live under here at Strong Rock, and these invade everything that we do. The first one is that we put God first, and we really try to do that in everything that we do. The second one is we pursue excellence, and I hope you've heard that in a number of our different programs. We want to be the best, and we want to also do it with integrity. doing the right thing is always the right thing to do, no matter what the cost. And that's sincerely what we try to do here at Strong Rock. We always try to do it right. We're not perfect, and we make mistakes, and we don't always do it perfect, but that's what we're striving for. And finally, we serve one another. We do feel like partners and family, and we want you to feel that way. So just let us know if there's anything that we can ever do for you.